Howard Martin II, Senior Pastor of Empowering Global Ministries and host of the monthly podcast, I Am My Brother's Keeper, here in the city of Dallas, Texas, with the special edition of I Am My Brother's Keeper. The topic for this evening is Black masculinity, but the subtopic is the slap that nobody heard. Purpose, awareness with the hope to action. Awareness with the hope to action. Fact: Will Smith assaulted Chris Rock with a slap to his face at the 94th Academy Award ceremony. What emotions does this stir in you initially when looking at this and hearing this? Was it fear? Was it anger? Was it rage? Was it surprise? Was it affirming what Will did? Fact: Chris Rock being bullied as a child with no support from school, placing rocks in his bag to defend himself because he was bullied, and one day lashed out severely injured a classmate. Where was the teacher? Obviously, we don't know the particulars. Chris Rock stated on social media in research that he has been in therapy 7 hours a week dealing with what he calls big ego and self-confidence and anger. The slap that nobody heard. Fact: Will Smith talking about seeing his mother being abused by his father and feeling helpless to defend her and feeling of being a coward. The slap nobody heard. Fact: Will Smith struggling with his inner demons of pushing his abused father down the stairs while he was offering care to him and thinking about abusing his mother. The slap nobody heard. Fact: Will Smith dealing with Jada's past relationship with Tupac Shakur and how he was intimidated by him. He felt, I quote, insecure. The slap nobody heard. Fact: Will Smith admitting to having suicidal ideations while filming a fitness video for YouTube. The slap nobody heard. Fact: Will Smith in a surprisingly candid exchange. Will confirmed to the interviewer that both he and Jada have, with mutual agreement, engaged in sexual relations outside of their marriage. The extramarital affair with their house guests. The slap that nobody heard. When looking at the tapestry of Will Smith's life and all the baggage he is carrying, we need to ask ourselves, how does his masculinity come into play? There are other questions, and I will unpack later as we delve deeper into Black masculinity, the slap nobody heard. What is masculinity? Webster defines masculinity as the quality or nature of the male sex, the quality, state, or degree of being masculine or manly. The man controlling his environment in today, the prevailing American image of masculinity. Sociology defines masculinity and refers to the behaviors of social roles and relations of men within a given society, as well as the meaning attributed to them. An article I read stated, when we define maleness or masculinity, we are quick to assume that to be a man means being aggressive, loud, violent, and dominant. I noticed in just about all the articles that I have read when I went to the research department that masculinity refers to the behaviors, social roles, and relations of men within a given society, as well as the meaning attributed to them. So it stands to reason that behaviors that are deemed by the society we live in dictates what masculinity means. I find that very discouraging because whoever is in control of media or positions of power control the narrative and how men, especially Black men or anybody, is viewed in our society. The slap that nobody heard. Let us look more closely at the picture of masculinity and especially Black masculinity. In my opinion, Black masculinity is different from any other masculinity in our society. When we look at slavery and how the black male has been used for slave labor, yes, we have to mention slavery because it is a part of the American story and should not ever be left out of our institutions of learning. The black man was also used for procreating to make sure free labor continued to make Caucasians wealthy during the slave era and has been perpetuated to this day. But we will revisit that statement later. Black masculinity has also been a force to be reckoned with in society without the assistance or cooperation of the black man. But his masculinity has been feared by white America especially. That is why those that are in power have tried to control the narrative by degrading the black man with negative stories and tropes. For example, the black man is only good for physical activities and requiring brute strength, utilized in forms of inhumane manual labor, big, strong, and stupid, as well as violent, the slap that nobody heard. I want to briefly walk us through how black masculinity has been defined for the black man in our society. First, racial capitalism. A Harvard study would define it as the process of deriving value from the racial identity of others, harms the individuals affected and society as a whole. What this is saying is here is the American dream, black man, but you can't have it, and I'm going to put institutions, laws, and especially an ideology in place that will keep you, the black man, from achieving this dream, if at all possible. Racial profiling, segregation, to name just a few. If that is not enough in a male-dominated society where the male is supposed to be the breadwinner, but because of the devaluing of the black man and his masculinity, it brings on a hardship where the street life has been the only arena for the black man and his masculinity to have any thriving chance, and it's in the streets. Arthur Bell Hooks suggests this to be a gangster culture in which black men participate in criminal activity, which has become a trope in American society, the slap that nobody heard. Secondly, music. Black masculinity is expressed in our music, especially hip hop and rap. The stories that are talked about in these forms of expression tell the stories of the pain, the rage, and the anger and oppression that is felt by many blacks today. To control the narrative, white America takes this and uses it to say to society that black masculinity is misogynistic, homophobic, and violent. The slap that nobody heard. Thirdly, sports. Looking at professional sports, not until the 40s was black Americans allowed to play professional sports. And by the 50s, all major professional sports were desegregated. Black men comprise a large portion of athletes, specifically black men in the NFL and NBA. And they are the vanguard of stereotypes, sustaining the brute strength of black men. I can remember as a child and even growing up as a teenager, I had heard that the National Football League didn't think that African American men were intelligent enough in order to be quarterbacks in the NFL. Thank you, Doug Williams, the first African American to win a Super Bowl. According to the Racial and Gender Report Card of the NFL, 83.1% of the NFL are African American. 74.2% in the NBA, the players in the league are black. This was just to give us a snapshot of a backdrop that the incident that occurred between Will Smith and Chris Rock during the 94th Academy Awards ceremony was not just about Will assaulting Chris. I want to press my claim here and say it wasn't all about Will and Jada. The slap is a slap that all men of color, especially the black man, has been tolerating and suppressing through the corridors of time. the slap of being lynched, the slap of being castrated, the slap of being burned, the slap of being shot, the slap of being lied on, the slap of being falsely accused, the slap of being used as experiments, the slap of being misdiagnosed, the slap of being misunderstood, the slap of being untreated fairly, the slap of being falsely imprisoned, the slap of being feared by our counterparts, the slap of shut up and take it or just get over it. This is what our ancestors have had to endure. And that slap has been passed on to us today since coming to these shores and from our time in this America. I believe until we look at the root of the problems, instead of scratching the surface and putting band-aids on the problem, and our black men and their masculinity will continue to explode and continue to hurt the black man from generations to generations. Yes, people, I'm talking about the importance of black mental health. I'm talking about mental health. I will be giving several special editions that will peel back the layers and prayerfully give some healing to the black men and anybody else seeking healing. As we look to understand the importance of mental health within our communities, cities, state, nation, and the world, I want to thank you for your time and attention. I can be reached at info@empoweringgm.com. The rebroadcasting of this special edition will be on our YouTube channel. May God continue to bless you and keep you is our continued prayer. Be blessed and stay woke.